Welcome back everyone to the 13.17 edition of the best solo carries. As always, we're ready to set you guys up with 3 champions for every single role that are extremely powerful for the current meta. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. Kicking off the top 3 for top lane this patch is going to be Garen. The fact Garen is currently a very strong pick in meta, but is also extremely easy to pick up, makes him one of the most consistent solo carries you can play. Riot's throwing in a random buff to Stridebreaker this patch where the health of the item is being increased, so that's a big win for Garen. Another factor that's made Garen even stronger in recent patches is his new build that offers a ludicrous mid-game spike. The new double Zeal build that high elo Garen main Wrist has been playing is offering Garen a relatively cheap spike with all the stats the champion loves. A sample core build for Garen right now is a Stridebreaker rush into double Zeal and then Hullbreaker. You've got incredible side lane pressure from this build, and the 1v1 power is difficult for most champions to match. Couple all the movement speed you're getting from the Zeals with Phase Rush, and the sticking power of Garen suddenly becomes absolutely nuts. When trading in lane, really focus on playing around your W and Phase Rush cooldowns. When both are up, your quick trading power is incredibly strong, but when they're down, you really have to respect the enemy. It's a bit of a rinse and repeat process, but if executed well, can have you coming out on top of nearly every single trade. Ban-wise for Garen, you really can't go wrong with Malphite right now due to his high presence in meta. Speaking of Malphite, when will this champion actually be weak in meta? It feels like Malphite has been S tier or above all of Season 13, and for that reason, adding him to your champion pool is such great value. If Riot's not going to nerf the champ when he's been this strong for so long, they're probably never going to do it. Watch, now that we say this, next patch, Malphite is going to be hit with the most ridiculous nerf we've ever seen. What makes Malphite so consistent is his ability to be extremely impactful regardless of how the laning phase plays out. If you come out of lane with a few kills, that's amazing, but even if you fall behind, limit the bleeding and chances are, come team fights, you're going to be more impactful than the enemy top. Something only 20% of Malphite players are doing right now that more players should be abusing is the W max first. Q max is fine if you're in a ranged matchup or in a melee lane where you feel like you can't trade autos, but if you can trade autos consistently, W max is really great value. Against someone like Yone, Jax, Tryndamere, Fiora, or Darius, definitely try out the W max. You also want to couple this with running Grasp as the keystone rune, and your empowered auto damage from W becomes pretty nasty. 2 matchups you want to avoid at all costs when playing Malphite are Sylas and Mordekaiser, so using your ban on one of them is important. A standard core build for Malphite consists of an Iceborne Gauntlet rush into Sunfire Aegis second and a situational tank item third. Grasp is the best keystone rune when you're going for the W max in melee lanes, while Comet is going to work best when you are going for a Q max in ranged matchups. Taking home the final solo carry spot for top lane this patch is going to be Illaoi. Right now, Illaoi is basically this mix of a tank and fighter with her build revolving around Iceborne Gauntlet, Black Cleaver, and Sterix. Hullbreaker can be prioritized as well in games where you're planning to be glued to the side lane. This is one of the more difficult decisions you gotta make on Illaoi. With someone like Malphite, it's almost always in his best interest to team fight, but not so much with Illaoi. Do you split or do you group? If the enemy comp is very heavy ranged with lots of mobility, oftentimes playing to the split is going to be more reliable. It's going to be quite hard to reach targets in this case, and you'll probably just end up getting kited into oblivion. Vice versa, if the enemy comp is a ton of dive champions who are melee and they need to come into you, that's where grouping up can be of value. Illaoi R spawns a tentacle for each champion she hits with it, so if multiple melee champs are diving in, that's where she can thrive. Matchup wise for Illaoi, she performs great into many of the melee AD fighters we see in meta, but does struggle more into Mordekaiser, so he's a good ban. The rune page consists of Grasp with Demolish, Bone Plating, and Overgrowth. Run Presence of Mind and Last Stand for secondaries. It was originally looking like some Evelynn nerfs were on the way, but Riot scrapped them completely, so she's back in the top 3 for jungle. What makes Evelynn so broken for solo queue is her ability to find picks from stealth that are relatively low risk, high reward. The fact Evelynn can one-shot a target and then instantly escape with her ultimate makes her very frustrating to play against. Being aware of key objective timers and then finding catch plays when the enemy team walks into ward is how you're really going to demolish games on Evelynn. You really want to be catching enemies when they are split from their team, and prior to objective spawning is the best time to do so. Waiting until the objective is up to look for your pick is often way less reliable because chances are the enemy team is all grouped up together. Evelynn is a champion who lacks that potent early gank power, so using your ban on a jungler who does, like Jarvan, is a good idea. As long as you can limit how much the enemy jungler gets done pre-6, you can take over games from then on out. The standard core items on Evelynn consist of Rocket Belt and Rabadons. However, Mage Eyes is going to be pretty consistent pickup most of your games as well. For the rune page, it's Electrocute with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter. Roll with Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for secondaries. With a few junglers tagged with nerfs this patch, it's going to lead to even greater priority on Jarvan. We've seen the champion really explode back in a meta over the past few patches here, becoming very popular once again. The emergence of Spear of Shojin as a core purchase on Jarvan has really added to his solo carry power in the mid game. You've got a little more upfront damage threat when going Spear instead of Black Cleaver, so it makes finding those picks on squishy targets a bit easier. Of course, Black Cleaver is still a great pickup too into tankier comps, but really shouldn't be run into squishies. On a strong ganking jungler like Jarvan, how you choose to path early on is extremely important. Loading screen analysis and breaking down which lane you think is best to prioritize is key. We have multiple courses on our website for jungle that covers how to create game plans, which is a great resource to help you out for not only Jarvan, but all jungle champions. Matchup-wise for Jarvan, Kindred is a more annoying matchup due to her mobility and ultimate countering Jarvan's kit quite hard, so they're a solid ban option. The rune page to run on the champ is Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Best secondaries are Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight. For the third and final solo carry jungler of the patch, it's going to be Kha'Zix. Direct nerf to Kha'Zix will hurt a bit this patch, but we still expect him to remain a very powerful pick. At the time of making this video, only about 10% of Kha'Zix players have caught on to the strength of Umbral Glaive as a rush item, so as more people begin rushing the item, his win rate is only going to increase. Umbral Rush into Duskblade 2nd and Edge of Night 3rd is a very lethal 3-item core. By rushing the Umbral, you just have so much more control over games and can snowball extremely hard. Especially since the sweeping lens was nerfed a few patches back, having that ability to control vision with Umbral on an assassin like Kha'Zix works wonders. By running First Strike and Futures Market and Runes, you're able to pick up Umbral Glaive extremely early on as it only costs 2,300 gold. Ban-wise for Kha'Zix right now, Rengar is one of the best options. Making her way back into the top 3 for mid lane due to some very unexpected buffs this patch is Vex. Of all mid lane champions, Vex definitely wasn't one we had high up on the buff list, but Riot has other plans. We've had Vex rated as an S tier mid in recent patches, so due to these buffs, we see her becoming borderline OP. What's made Vex even better over the past 2 patches are these champs like Akali and Sylas seeing way more play due to their recent buffs. Vex has always shined into these mid lane champs with mobility, and they are being played even more now. Due to a relatively shorter range, Vex tends to struggle more against artillery champs like Xerath, so he's a solid ban option. Something to really focus on in the mid game with Vex is always dipping into Fog of War. Vex R is much more difficult to dodge or flash if it's coming from out of vision, and you can drastically increase your ability to find picks by utilizing the fog. The 3-item core for Vex consists of Eluden's Rush into Shadowflame 2nd and Zanya's or Rabadon's 3rd. Run Electrocute with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, and Ultimate Hunter for primary runes. Best secondary page is Mana Flow and Transcendence. With Xerath nerfed for 13.17, back to being one of the most powerful solo carries is Neeko. There are few mid lane champions who have as much teamfight impact as Neeko when her flash is available. In solo queue especially, teams are going to bunch right up, and when they do, looking for engage angles with our flash can single-handedly win games. If Neeko can succeed as much as she has in pro play, there's no question how much more powerful she can be in solo queue where things are less coordinated. Forget about the teamfight power. Proper usage of Neeko passive can be incredibly influential. In the mid game, when the enemy ADC wants to come mid and farm, always be looking for picks plays where you can run back to the wave arriving, disguise yourself as a minion, and catch the enemy off guard if they are moved up too far. Neeko plays quite well into most melee champs or shorter range mages. It's the longer range pick champs she has more difficulties against, so banning one of Syndra or Xerath is good value. The build for Neeko is a Rocket Belt Rush into Shadowflame 2nd and Zanya's 3rd. Many pros have started running Aerie for the Keystone rune instead of Comet, as you have a bit more guaranteed poke when Q lands. When it comes down to a lane dominant mid laner who has the ability to easily acquire priority, there's nobody better than Trist. Especially in the lower ranks where players won't respect the level 2 power spike as much, getting early leads with Tristana can be a breeze. Really key on hitting 2 before the enemy and looking to strike if they are in range of your W. That first melee minion on the second wave should always be of great focus, because as soon as you kill it, you'll hit 2 and can look to jump in. Being a champion that needs to maximize early lane power to succeed, utilizing our laning courses for mid can be of really good value for you. Once you complete Static Shiv on Tristana, the champion instantly clears waves, which allows you to keep up lane priority extremely well. The tower taking power of Tristana is insane as well with her E and Demolish, so you can grab a ton of plating gold to accelerate leads. In the past, it was mainly Hail of Blades run as Tristana's Keystone rune, but since you're building Static Shiv, Fleet Footwork has much better synergy. The standard 3-item core consists of a Static Shiv Rush into Quick Blade 2nd and Bloodthirster 3rd. Matchup wise for Tristana, she fares quite well into most meta champs. However, Yasuo with his Wind Wall can be a bit annoying to go up against, so he's a respectable ban choice. The ADC meta has been extremely stable as of recent without any meta shifting changes at all, so Ashe remains a top 3 solo carry for 13.17. The lane dominance and ability to force plays by yourself is what makes Ashe so powerful for solo queue. Hitting Ashe R on a consistent basis is often all you need to do to be impactful on the champion, so here are a few ways to ensure this. Fog of War is your best friend with Ashe. Whenever you clear out a minion wave in the mid game, you should always be dipping into Fog and looking for enemies that are out of position. During laning phases, playing around the cannon minion is the best way to increase R hit rate. The enemy ADC is not going to want to give up that cannon minion, so when it gets low, they're going to move up into a predictable location to last hit it, which makes lining up your R very easy. Since Ashe is an ADC who lacks a gap closer, banning out a heavy engaged champion like Jarvan is a good idea. The standard build to run on Ashe is a Kraken Slayer Rush into Trinity Force 2nd and Hurricane 3rd. It's lethal tempo for the Keystone Rune with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Optimal secondaries include Biscuits and Approach Velocity. For the first time in a long time, making an appearance in the ADC top 3 is Sivir. What's made Sivir extremely attractive over the past few patches is her ability to thrive with 2 very unique builds. This allows the champion to adapt to each game extremely well based on what the enemy comp consists of. You can go for a poke with Q focus build, running Black Cleaver and Duskblade when going up against comps that are difficult to play into auto range against. You're also going to run Airy for the Keystone Rune with this build to help amplify that Q poke even more. On the flip side, Crit can work extremely well when you are playing into comps that have more lower mobility melee champs that are not as big of a threat to one-shot you if you play in auto range. Lethal tempo should be run when playing this build as you want more attack speed, being that most of your damage is coming from autos. Vayne has always been a matchup most Sivir players struggle with due to you getting no value out of your spell shield, so she's a solid ban. Rounding out the top 3 for ADC this patch is a champ that every ADC main should be able to pull out right now, being Miss Fortune. MF is such a powerful carry with her meta lethality build, and if you can pick her with melee engage supports, her strength is amplified even further. It really just comes down to not getting caught out and being ready to follow up on your team's engage. The movement speed from W and Ghostblade passive allows you to stay very shifty and play back at a safer distance than most ADCs. Moving up into auto range for a bit of poke in the mid game is often not worth it with Miss Fortune because it's just way more reliable to be safe and have that R ready to unleash. Heavy dive champions are going to be the most difficult for Miss Fortune to play into, so using your ban on Rakan or Jarvan is good value. The core build for Miss Fortune is Ghostblade Rush into Collector 2nd and Cyrilda's Grudge 3rd. Run First Strike with Magical Footwear, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight for primary runes. Best secondary page is Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm. Xerath, tagged with a few nerfs this patch, pushes him out of the top 3 for support, and taking his spot is Blitzcrank. Blitz is actually getting a bunch of changes this patch that look to add to his early game power. Health and magic resist are going up. Mana cost on W and E are down for the cost of having less consistent DPS from W. For support Blitz in specific, we expect this to be a net win because W DPS is really not what makes the champion so strong. Added early game durability is going to make all-in plays easier to execute, which is amazing for a snowbally support like Blitz. It's no secret that one hook in lane can completely change the outcome of a game, but executing on your roam timers can be even more influential. When you're coming off a reset with Blitz, don't path directly towards bot lane unless your ADC is in immediate danger of being dove. Instead, you should be pathing towards mid to keep your options open. If the enemy mid is playing up too far, you can look for a gank, or if a fight breaks out in topside river, you can make your way over. Of course, a lot of the time there won't be a play to be had, and you'll just walk back to bot lane, but it's about being consistent so that you're able to capitalize when openings do present themselves. Due to his high play rate in meta and ability to easily dodge out on your hook, Ezreal is one of the better bans for Blitz. Build you should run revolves around Australia's Rush into Zeke 2nd and Knight's Vow 3rd. Glacial Augment is the Keystone Rune with Hex Flash, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Roll with Bone Plating and Unflinching for secondaries. Riot simply refuses to meaningfully nerf this champion, so Rakan cracks the top 3 for support once again. If you're looking for a support with incredible catch power and the ability to heavily influence teamfights, Rakan is the pick. Early laning power can be a bit underwhelming, especially if you're playing into a mobile ADC, but the level 6 spike is massive. Your gank assist at 6 is some of the best for any support, so try to entice your jungler into ganking. Typing something like free kill bot takes no effort at all, but can be the reason your jungler comes to bot instead of top. It's not like you're even lying either, as Rakan R with W lockdown should be a free kill on a jungle gank if executed properly. It's really only the supports who have strong disengage power that Rakan struggles against, so using your ban on Janna or Rel is good value. The core build for Rakan is a Radiant Virtue Rush into Zeke 2nd and Knight's Vow 3rd. Grab Guardian for the Keystone Rune with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Zombie Ward and Ultimate Hunter are the way to go for secondaries. For more of a pure carry support with lots of damage output, nobody tops Zyra for the current meta. Especially now that one of her rivals in Xerath has been nerfed for 13.17, Zyra priority rises up. Much like Rakan, con, Zyra spikes quite hard at the level 6 and can really take over games from then on out. You should be trying to play around side lane brush at 6 and fish for picks with E from the Fog of War. All it takes is for that one E to hit and you've got yourself a very free all-in play. To really take your laning phase to the next level and playing a champ like Zyra, who has a lot of kill potential, our Master of Minutes course on laning for support can help you out tremendously. Champions with heavy dive and burst power are who Zyra is going to have the most difficult time dealing with, so using your ban on Zed is a good idea. The build you'll want to run on Zyra is Liandry's Rush into Rylai's second and Zanya's or Demonic Embrace third. Comet is the keystone rune with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch, followed by Taste of Blood and Relentless Hunter for secondaries. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent Challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. So that's going to wrap up everything for our latest update on the best solo carries. Thanks everyone for watching, good luck in solo queue, and we'll catch you in the next one.